Good afternoon, good people. I wanted to check in about a remarkable book that I just finished, well, most of it, called Life Force, written by Tony Robbins and a couple of his colleagues, very notable in their own right. And this was really a breath of fresh air for me because it's all about being proactive about your health care. And I can't tell you how strongly I feel that everybody needs to be their own advocate when it comes to their own health care. I mean, there are so many differing opinions. There are so many different modalities of healthcare out there. And you really need to take charge of your own healthcare and welfare, that being physical and mental. And don't just take, the guidelines and the recommendations from just one doctor. If it's a very, very important situation that you've got to deal with regarding your health, get more than one opinion. By the way, this is not medical advice at all. This is just my own opinion, and I'm just going to convey a few things about this book that I learned. But one thing that Tony Robbins talks about is that you got to be the CEO of your own healthcare, and I could not agree more. I've been misdiagnosed, and my personal journey brought about this opinion very, very strongly, just how constricted and it's almost like these doctors have blinders on, metaphorically speaking, because they're only drawing from the modalities that they know and that they studied. And it kind of cuts off this natural intellectual curiosity that they may have started out with, but they don't seem to have anymore for whatever reason. And it's pretty remarkable. And I've seen this again and again and again. And a couple things that I learned about Tony Robbins, that he had an issue with his brain many years ago. And it was recommended that he have surgery right away. And the doctor was extremely adamant about it. And when Tony wanted to, kind of pause that situation and get more feedback and get different opinions from different doctors, that one doctor almost got upset with him. And he was very perturbed, which, in my humble opinion, stems from arrogance, which really needs to be dealt with. And if you see that, just, get out of there. But anyway, make a long story short, he got different opinions about his brain issue, and he found one doctor that said, no, this really isn't an issue. You do not need surgery. We just need to check this every now and again, and I think you'll be okay. And, fast forward 12, 15 years now, something like that. He's still fine and doing his thing. But then something else happened to him that was really incredible, that I didn't know about. He suffered a major shoulder injury while snowboarding, big time. And he, consulted a few doctors, and I think 2 or 3 of them recommended surgery for sure. And even with the best type of recovery, he was still going to have limited mobility. But he thankfully found out about stem cell therapy, and there's a lot of different type of stem cell therapy out there. A lot of it, people, trying to push stem cell therapy that really they don't know what they're doing. But he, fortunately, one of the authors of this book, I believe his name is Robert Harari, happened to know a lot about this and was at the forefront of this research. And he recommended Tony go down to the Stem Cell Institute in Panama. It worked. He had to go out of the country because this particular type of stem cell therapy is not legal. It's not embryonic stem cells. It's actually stem cells derived from the umbilical cord called mesenchymal stem cells that are multipotent, meaning they can become almost any other thing. And some of them can be cultured to become pluripotent, to become anything in the body, like anywhere you put them. And so Dr. Riordan, the chief medical officer, I believe, at the Stem Cell Institute in Panama, who was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about this, explained how this works, and it's really remarkable. And as a result of Tony Robbins getting this therapy, his shoulder is fully recovered. That just kind of blew me away. Not only that, but he had some serious nerve pain as a result of his injury. Gone. I just like blew me away. And then as I was reading this book, I found an interview with Dr. Riordan with Joe Rogan, and apparently Mel Gibson, the actor, took his father down to Panama for some stem cell therapy. Initially, he wasn't very, very into the idea. He didn't know much about it, and he thought it was like, tantamount to, doing some, like a witch doctor would do something like that. But he found out more about it. Took his, I think his father was like 92 at the time, had major issues, hip issues, cardiovascular, I think, issues. Went down to Stem Cell Institute in Panama. And I mean, he is way, 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 way better than he was before. I mean, he now, I think he's like 100 years old or 98, something like that, still kicking, and has a real zest for life, which he did not have before. And some collateral goodness came about. The initial thing that he was going down there for improved dramatically, as well as, other things that he wasn't expecting any improvement on, like his hip. It was just got much better. What's really interesting about mesenchymal stem cells is they target inflammation really, really well, apparently. And inflammation is at the root of a lot of the ailments we suffer as human beings, which I did not know. And that's fascinating to me. So it automatically, because of that, it helps your immune system. And it also helps just your overall health in general. I mean, inflammation creates all types of havoc in the body. And that's why there's all these, ways to, like if you take turmeric, that can help with inflammation in the body. CBD oil can help that, et cetera, et cetera. But apparently these stem cells are really quite amazing. And what I found out through this incredible interview on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast was that, there was one guy who came to the Stem Cell Institute in Panama, Dr. Riordan, I think it's actually Riordan, I'm sorry, talked about who had a bad plane crash. Oh, hold on. And, sorry, that was just telemarketer. So go away. Anyway, this guy came in and didn't have function of his arms and legs. Nothing. And they were able to get him walking and completely active after some treatments with stem cell therapy in Panama. It was like unbelievable what he was saying. And I was just blown away again and again and again. And then not only was Mel Gibson's father treated well, but also Mel Gibson went down for a few treatments with he had an issue with the shoulder, and has found dramatic improvement in that as well. It's a real shame that it's not legal. This type of therapy isn't legal in this country. Hopefully we'll get clear on that soon. But there have been a lot of high-level athletes that have had stem cell therapy, not in the U.S. Even the United States athletes have gone out of the United States to get this done. I believe Kobe Bryant had it done. I know that Rafael Nadal had stem cell treatment on his knees. He used to have his knees taped up. I've watched a lot of tennis. I played a lot of tennis when I was in high school, played competitively. I know how that can be. And then all of a sudden I see Rafael Nadal coming back at these major tournaments. nothing on his knees. He's all good. I'm like, what happened? Sure enough, stem cell treatment. So, I would encourage you to check this out. And something you really want to know about just your own medical journey. If you're dealing with something serious, get a second opinion, because most of the time that second opinion is going to be different than the first opinion. That should speak volumes. That spoke volumes to me. Just the percentages of second opinions being different than the first. Of course you should get a second opinion, but when you're dealing with something traumatic, it's hard to be logical and poised going through your journey, but you got to find a way, because if you do, that will really serve you in making the best decision for your overall health moving forward. I know that's not easy. It's easier said than done, but I am a strong advocate of that. It's interesting because I recommended recently Ray Dalio's book, Principles, and in there he talked about a medical issue that he had. And he did the same thing Tony did. He's like, stop, let me get a second opinion, et cetera, et cetera. And he had a very similar, outcome to what Tony did with his brain. He didn't need sort of radical intervention. They kept tabs on something, and with mild therapy, he was okay. This wasn't stem cell therapy, it was something else. But I'm just, a strong advocate that you have to take control of your own healthcare all the time. Another thing that I found out, which was remarkable, that stem cells can be helpful with, is MS. Who would have known? I didn't know. As well as autism. Autism deals with inflammation in the brain. These mesenchymal stem cells really help that. They've been very helpful with clinical testing on multiple sclerosis patients. It's really extraordinary, and it really has piqued my curiosity for myself in a very, very big way. And Life Force, this book, Life Force, which I couldn't recommend highly enough, it doesn't just talk about stem cells. It talks about all types of cutting-edge technologies and medical therapeutic modalities, and something that they're really into is precise diagnostic testing, which I couldn't be more psyched about. I mean, the level of testing and awareness in most healthcare facilities is antiquated, to put it nicely, politely. I mean, they go in and tap on your knee and touch your throat and, listen to your heart. I mean, it's like, man, that test was from, many, many decades ago. And this book is talking about doing diagnostic testing that's state of the art, that can detect a heart problem way before it happens, or, issues with your cardiovascular system, et cetera, which is remarkable. This should be a standard of care as well as stem cell treatment. But, that's a whole nother conversation, the state of affairs of our medical community in this country with for-profit healthcare system. It's just, we're incentivizing all the wrong behavior all the time with that crap. Anyway, they also talk about gene therapy and CRISPR with gene editing. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but this allows for the editing of genes to take out an abnormality or, some sort of disorder at the level of the gene, which is pretty amazing. So there's, this book is chock full of really, really interesting and a lot of vital information that could actually save someone's life, save your life. You don't know. So I'm looking into stem cell therapy for myself, and I'm really just flabbergasted that this is not allowed in this country. I mean, Joe Rogan was talking about the stem cell therapy that he received in this country, but it was actually, he took advantage of a very small window of opportunity to get better than most stem cell therapies available in the United States, which is no longer available, but it's nothing. Well, it's not nothing. He had actually really great results. I think he had a shoulder injury, which he found extremely helpful. But what he was saying in the podcast when he really found out about what they were offering in Panama, when he was talking to Dr. Reardon, was that he's like, man, I need to take a trip to Panama because it sounds like what he had was a watered down version of what they offer in Panama. And it really sounds like the real deal. And it's really, what's so fascinating is that the placenta, or the afterbirth, holds a lot of these incredible cells, as well as the umbilical cord. And they're just thrown out and tossed out after a child is born. But people in the know, they're now having kids that are hip to this technology and this science. They're having those parts of the birth process cryogenically frozen, so that the child, as they get older, if they need their own stem cells, they can draw upon them. Because what I found out about specifically about stem cell therapy is that I think it's called autologous stem cell therapy that's taken from your own body. Well, I have had that done, and it really didn't do anything about, 5-6 years ago. Why? I always wondered why. Well, now I know why, because Dr. Reardon talked about this on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he specifically said that if you're, middle age and you're taking your own stem cells from your body, they only have so much juice. He was putting in layman's terms. I'm sure there's a scientific word or definition for what he's talking about, but basically that's what it comes down to. But when you've got, stem cells that are just like new, straight out from an umbilical cord right after, a birth, that's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different ball game. And, people get really swept up in the ethics of this. And, this is really, they're very clear that these are not embryonic stem cells. They're not from an embryo at all. As a matter of fact, embryonic stem cells, they talk about, Dr. Reardon said there's issues with those that, so they shouldn't be used, even if they could be used. And even if there weren't any ethical concerns, which there are, which I get that. But this is not that. So it's truly something that sounds remarkable. So I would encourage you to get this book. It's available on Audible. If you want to hit the link below, it'll help us in our mission here at Rhythm and Light, creating content that serves the public. We do get a slight commission from this, and we really appreciate it. But honestly, the reason I'm advocating this is because I read the book myself. I think it would be really helpful. Everybody should get a glimpse into modern healthcare modalities, and everybody should be their own advocate when it comes to their healthcare, or as Tony Robbins says, the CEO of your own health journey. I couldn't agree more. I have my own experience to draw upon from that, and if I didn't do this, I could have ended up in a very, very different situation. So that affiliate link is below. There's also an affiliate link down below for a special offer that Audible is offering right now. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to our channel. That helps us in our mission here at Rhythm and Light, an independently owned and operated media company. I'm the founder, Steve Ordauer, and we really appreciate it. It helps us with our mission to educate the public and serve the public. Oh, and if you have a comment or question, please feel free to let us know what you thought of this in the comments below. And we try to answer the questions as best we can. So please feel free to leave a question if something has piqued your curiosity. Also, if this was helpful to you in any way, please share this video with someone who might benefit from this remarkable book put together by Tony Robbins, Peter Diamandis, and Robert Harari. I don't know if I've pronounced all of those guys' names correctly, but I hope so. Respect. So thank you very much for listening to this video, and I hope it was helpful. Take care. Peace.